Hi, everyone. I'm Paul with MadCap Software, and I'm going to show you in this video, going to talk about micro content and single sourcing, how you can single source things that relate to your micro content to save work and time. Because if I'm about anything, it's about working less, as little as I have to, so I can get more done. Now, here's the backstory on this. We released micro content initially a few years ago, and I was just so happy with it. I loved it. I'm working in it. But there was something that I noticed that I would have these topics and then I would have micro content created from them. But I didn't want everything to be exactly the same in the full topic as I wanted in the micro content. And for example, I would have a topic where I'd have a set of steps. And so it'd be, 1 through 10. And in between the steps, there would be some comments and stuff. Well, I didn't want all those comments. I didn't want the images, everything that's in the full topic. I didn't want all that to display in the micro content. I wanted to have control over that. I wanted the micro content to be more micro. I wanted it to be, just the basic steps. And I also wanted the steps to be closer together. So I wanted to change the appearance, and I wanted to change what showed and what didn't show. And I just didn't know how we could do that. I talked to one of our developers, and he thought a little bit, and he thought, we do have this other style sheet that gets generated automatically when you create micro content. Maybe we could use that. So we talked about it and decided I could use some what are called complex selectors in my style sheet in order to control this. And sure enough, it worked great. And so that's what I used, and I still use to this day because I have it set up and I'm used to it. But since that time, we added more features for single sourcing, and that's what I'm going to show you in this video. I still use what I used before because it's easy for me. It has its benefits, but there are some things that have been put into place that are even easier. So we're going to take a look at all of those. So a good way to illustrate this is actually to show you one of the topics in the online help. This is a topic called creating conditions. And if you come down, you see, all right, I got my heading there and steps, and I've got this comment that's between steps 1 and 2. And then step 3, I've got some other things down here. I got sub steps. And then I even have an animated GIF at the bottom. And I just didn't want to show like all this stuff in the micro content. I wanted it to just be step 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. And then have this animated GIF, maybe include it, maybe don't. I just wanted the option of doing it. And so now, if you look in the search, if you do a search for creating conditions, you're going to see the micro content over here on the right-hand side. And this is it. How to create a condition. There's the heading. There's the 4 steps. And I did include the animated GIF in here. So this is exactly the same content that I just showed you from the full topic. It's just less of it. So I didn't do anything like create snippets, and I didn't copy and paste anything. I didn't want to duplicate content. I just wanted it presented differently. So that is exactly what we're talking about here. I am not going to cover absolutely every detail about single sourcing the micro content in this video, but it is all documented. And if you do search for micro content in the online help, you're going to get this micro content about micro content over here. And you come down to other activities, the very bottom, and you're going to see the last 3 things: single sourcing micro content using conditions, single sourcing micro content using styles, and single sourcing micro content using variables. That's what I'm going to talk about in the rest of this video. We're going to go through each of these ways, all of these methods that you can use to create content once and then reuse it for micro content versus your topic output. So we're going to begin by looking at conditions. The first method we're going to talk about for single sourcing micro content is conditions. And what we're going to be able to do with this is simply hide or show certain things depending on whether it is in the topic or the micro content. Now, really what we're showing is everything is in the micro content is going to be shown in the full topic, but you can hide pieces in the micro content. The reverse is also possible, but it's not as easy just using conditions. You'd have to involve some other things, some snippets and so forth. And so we're just going to stick with the basics here. Now I've got this topic open, stay. This is a topic. This is a project on dogs, and it's about teaching your dog to stay, this particular topic. So you can see I've got this heading in here and steps, and I've got a note. So this is similar to what I had in the my topic that I illustrated in the last section. Come down here, steps 3, 4, and this one right here. Now we could also add let's add an image in here. Okay, so I inserted this image in here. And so I've got the steps and then I've got this extra paragraph down here at the bottom. That is what we're working with. Okay, let's go over and look at conditions. So I have this default condition tag set, which is that's my main one that I'm using for most of my content. But for the purposes of this video, this demo, I created another one called micro content conditions, just to keep it separate. Open this up, and I created a condition tag called topic only. And it's associated with this green color over here. The idea is I'm going to put this condition on parts of the content that I only want to be shown in the full topic, not in the micro content piece. So let's go back to our topic, and I can just go bit by bit through this. This note, I do want to put the condition on that because I don't want to see that in the micro content. Now, you don't have to select it. You know, a lot of people think you have to select things. It's a block. This is a block item, a paragraph. And so I just click it, and I can apply the condition to the whole thing. Now, I actually saved the condition option is right here on the home ribbon right here, but I use it so much, I right-clicked it and said add it to the quick access toolbar. So I'm just going to click that and go to my micro content conditions and select that. And it applied it to the whole thing in here. Come down, the image, I also don't want to show this time. I'm just going to click this paragraph tag, and the image is wrapped within it. I'm going to do that, and I can do the same thing, go here and select that. And that's it. Everything else I do want to show. So I'm going to save my changes here. Now I need to create the micro content, and I can simply just select this, all of this stuff, and on the home ribbon, I can select create micro content. I'll show you one. Sometimes I like to wrap things in div tags because it's just kind of more convenient to work with things as a single block, get them in there first. You don't have to do that. You could just create the micro content here. But if you want to use the div method, click this thing, create a div, and now everything is wrapped in this div tag. And I could not only use the home ribbon, I could just right-click this div tag and tell it create. I want to save first, and then I'm going to right-click this div tag, create micro content, and let's put in the phrase "teach dog stay." Okay, and we want to put it in this training steps micro content file. Click OK, and there it is. So I already have these other pieces of micro content in here, and you can see this one. And right now it's showing everything because I haven't told it to exclude anything yet. I'm going to save. Okay, so what do I do now? Well, now I need to be able to set the conditions on this. I'm going to come over and right-click on Teach Dog Stay and open up the properties. Now, there's multiple tags in here. You do see this conditional text tab. That's not what we're doing here. If I were to set something on that conditional text tab associated with this, what I'm doing is I'm telling the output either include or exclude the entire thing. And that's not what I want to do. I want to include or exclude parts of it. So it's not the conditional text tab, it's micro content conditions. Come down here and there is my micro content conditions tag set. There's topic only, and I'm going to tell it to exclude. Click OK. And now you can see in the preview that it has removed those things. And I can now build and view my output. And we'll look at both the full topic and we will look at the micro content. It's done, so let's double click it to open it. And we can search for Teach Dogs Day. And there is the micro content showing up as a featured snippet at the top. And you can see it has left out those parts that I conditioned out. Everything else is in it. Now, if I open up the full topic by clicking this link, you're going to see everything in there, the note and the image as well. So that is the first method for single sourcing your micro content. Now, the conditions method is a really good method if all you want to do is just include things in the topic and exclude things in the micro content. That's probably the simplest way to do it. But you also have the option of using styles. And so styles is a bit more powerful because it is not only going to allow you to exclude things from the micro content, you can do the reverse easier. You could include things in the micro content that you exclude from the full topic. Not only that, because it's styles, you can control different looks for the full topic versus the micro content. Now, there are two ways to do this with styles. One is you can use separate style sheets, one style sheet for your regular content and your micro content. Your micro content will inherit that stuff too, but then these little differences you could put in this separate micro content style sheet. That's one way, and that's what we're going to talk about in this section. But first, we want to undo some things because we're going to use the same content. So we're going to go in here to our topic, and let's undo our conditions. Actually, I don't want to undo the micro content itself. I just want to undo the condition. So I'm going to right click on that P tag and get rid of that. And I'm going to get rid of the condition on this one as well. So there we go. We're back where we were. And then we also want to go to that micro content, and I'm going to go to the phrases, to the phrase, to the properties, and I'm going to set that to not exclude. So we're just kind of back where we started in this. All right. So separate style sheets. Let's go look at our Content Explorer. And under resources, there's style sheets. I've got two style sheets in here because I've got a separate one just for the home page, but everything else is using this styles one. So right now, if I were to create the micro content, it's just going to use things from this style sheet right here. I'm going to create a brand new style sheet, right click on this new style sheet and name it what you want, but I'm going to just call this micro content style sheet like that. I'm going to select just the basic factory template in here, creates it. So it's just going to have just a few styles in here. It doesn't have much going on at all. Now, what we're going to be using in this, I'm going to use what are called generic styles. And these are, you can see right here, generic classes. There's a section for it, but I don't have any in this new style sheet yet. You can have styles like H1, H2, paragraph, all that stuff. And then you can put a class on that if you want a difference. So like for a P paragraph, you might want a note. And this one has some things underneath it that it is just coming from the factory style sheet. But if I wanted regular paragraphs and then I wanted a class that looked different for notes, I could create a class called note. It would be p.note. But generic is just that dot part and then what follows. And the good thing about generic styles is then you could apply them to anything. So if I did dot note, I could apply that both to paragraph. I could apply it to H1, H2, any block, any of those block level items I could apply it to. So I am going to create a selector, actually a couple in here. And the way you do that is I clicked add selector. I'm going to get rid of content in here. And so in class name, I'm going to create something in here called topic only. Doesn't have to be spelled that way. This is just so I know what it's about. Click OK, and it adds it here under the generic classes. I'm going to do another one, and I'm going to call this one micro content only. All right. So I've got these two. Now there's nothing set on them yet. I haven't told it to do anything with them. So we're also going to add these to the regular style sheet. In fact, I already have some in there, which I'm going to use for the next section. I'm going to get rid of those, and we're going to start out fresh. This time I'm going to open up the style sheet in the internal text editor because I want to get rid of those previous styles that I already have. And I am going to search for, use this little find widget, and I'm going to look for micro content. There we go. I've got this green thing. This is just a comment. It lets me organize this so I know that, oh, these are the styles having to do with my micro content. And I've already done some stuff in here. I'm going to get rid of these because we're going to talk about them next in the next section. And I'm going to do this. So it makes more sense in a little bit. And let's get rid of these. All right, so this is the same stuff that I had in the other style sheet. It's just you're looking at it in the text editor. I've got a generic style. You know it's generic because it starts with dot. Micro content only. And let's do topic only here. All right. So what I'm telling it in the regular style sheet is if something is using micro content only, I want it to have a display of none, which means hide it, don't show it. If it is using topic only, I want it to have a display of block, which means show it. It's the reverse. Okay, so I have that set in my regular style sheet. Go back to the other style sheet and we're in this other view, which is fine. I can do the same thing. And I want to do the reverse in here. And I'm going to look for display. And what do I want? So if it's micro content only, and I'm using the micro content style sheet, in this case, I want it to display, which is block. And then for the topic only, let's add display. In this case, I want it to be set to none. I want it to hide. All right, so I've got these two generic style classes. They just mean the reverse in these two style sheets. Now let's do one other thing just so that it's really apparent that we have a different look for this micro content as opposed to the full topic. Let's just change the color of paragraphs. And you would probably never do this, make all your paragraphs red, but let's do that if it's shown in micro content. Okay, so we've made some style changes in here. Now, how do we make this work? Well, let's go back to our micro content file. We actually want to go to the file itself. So this is the editor showing it. Let's go in here. And this is training steps. And I can go to properties and you get this style sheet links tab in here. And I'm just going to double click micro content style sheet. So I am telling it, look, when you are displaying this stuff in micro content, use this style sheet. Now there are going to be some things that I didn't tell it to do in this style sheet, the second one. So it's going to use the regular styles, but if there's a conflict, when it comes across topic only or micro content only, it's going to pay attention to what I told it in here. So click OK there. And let's see, it did turn it red in here. Let's go back to our topic. And I want to add one more thing underneath the heading. I am going to add a little bit of text. Content to be displayed in micro content only. Okay, so save that. Now, we removed those conditions, and so we haven't given it really any directions yet. All we know is this is a piece of micro content because we kept that in place, but we need to apply our styles if we want there to be some differences. So I'm going to click in this paragraph. I only want this to show up in micro content. So I'm going to come to here, and this is showing styles from the main style sheet. All right, because I have set it that way at the project level, and I'm going to tell it micro content only. And you get this little icon with the I and the X, and that just means it's in the output for the topic. For the regular output, this is going to be hidden, this paragraph. Now it's come down to note, and I can go up and tell this one topic only, the opposite. So I don't get the I and the X thing. That's because it's going to be shown. And then I can come down here to the paragraph that's holding my image, and I can select topic only. And that's it. That's all we want to do, setting our classes. So now we're going to build and view, and hopefully I set this all up correctly and it will work. It's all done. Let's double click it. And let's search just this time for stay. It should bring it up. That's close enough. Yeah, it brought it up. And let's look at what we have here. We've got red text. All right. So we know that worked. And we have this paragraph here, which is only supposed to show up in micro content only. We're not seeing that note in between the steps. We're not seeing the image. So everything worked there. Now let's click stay. And we don't have the red text. That was just for micro content. We aren't seeing that extra paragraph at the top because we told it to only show that in micro content. We are seeing the note because that's topic only, and we're seeing the image. That's topic only. So that all worked. Now, that's one method of using the styles. We're going to go back, and I'm actually going to undo all this stuff, and I'm going to show you the second method, which is just using one style sheet. Now, the second method you can use involving styles is what I mentioned at the very beginning of this video, the thing I started out using before we had these features, and that is using complex selectors. And the benefit of using complex selectors is that you only need one style sheet, and the other one I had to create a second style sheet. So it's up to you. The second style sheet might be an easier thing to do. But for me, the single style sheet using complex selectors is just convenient. The other thing to keep in mind is that if you use the separate style sheets, that's going to work for all the different kinds of micro content, meaning field level help. If you did that, that'll work for that. Whereas the complex selectors, that's only going to work for things that end up in your search results or your topic output. Now, since the last section, I went and I undid some things. I actually got rid of that second style sheet, and I went into the micro content, actually over here, the micro content properties for this one, and I removed the link to that style sheet. And I went back to my original style sheet and I put it back the way it was. Now, the topic, I still kept all the content in here and the applied styles, micro content only, and this one is topic only, and so forth. So all that stuff is still in place, so I don't have to do it. But what it's going to do now is it's just going to rely on this one style sheet and these things which are called complex selectors. You know it's a complex selector when you've got these multiple styles in a row on the same line here. Now, let me break this down for you. It might look really bizarre, but like everything in life, you break it down and it's usually not as complicated once you understand it. So here I've got this generic class, micro content only. All right, we just did that. And a comma because I'm adding, oh yeah, and this other thing too, this complex selector. And then this down here is your instructions for it. In this case, display none, don't show it. And this one is display block, show it. So let's look at this. So if I tell it micro content only, I am telling it to hide. But if it is topic only, I'm also telling it to hide, but under these conditions. This is what you need translated for you here, this dot micro content container space dot micro response. This is the stuff that I had that conversation with the developer long ago, and this is what he led me to use this as a complex selector. So what this means is if a piece of content is using topic only and that content is being displayed, I'm looking at micro content, for example, in my search results. If that's the case, hide it, because things that are marked as topic only, I don't want to see them in my micro content. Things that are marked as micro content only, I don't want to see them in the full topic. So that's what this means. I don't have this stuff here. I don't have it before this one. And so that means, okay, when I'm looking at the full topic, do this. This is when I'm looking at the micro content, do this. So we have a reverse situation here. Now I've got another piece down here for this. When I'm looking in the micro content and something is marked as micro content only, show it. And I don't have to do the topic only show it because by default it's going to show. So this is all it is right here. Now I did add this extra bit down here with a couple more complex selectors, and this has to do with lists. So I'm dealing here with a list, a set of steps. And so if I've got a list item that shows up in micro content, or if I have a list item and within that is a paragraph, do this. And what I'm telling it is give me less space between the items. So in the full topic, there's going to be more space between step 1 and step 2 than there is when you look at it in the micro content. All right, that's it. The great thing is once you get this set up in your style sheet, you're just kind of done. And now it's a matter of applying the styles to the content. And that's all I do. I just go apply styles to content and it works. So if I now generate the output from this, you're going to see something similar to what we just looked at. Of course, I'm not going to have the red text. I took that out, but you are going to see, this less space. The difference is there. It finished building. Let's open it. And let's again search for stay. And there it is. I got this paragraph that's staying in. I got my steps. They're just a little closer. Go to the full topic, more space between these things. And it's the same stuff that's shown that was shown before and hidden that was hidden before. That's it. That's another method to use. If you are comfortable with complex selectors in your style sheet, do this one if you like it. If you don't, create 2 style sheets. It's up to you. There's no right or wrong. So not only do we have the methods of conditions and styles to single source your micro content, but you can also do this with variables. So here's what this is all about. This same topic that I've got, if you go all the way to the bottom, you're going to see this final sentence. This training exercise is brought to you by, and this is a variable with the company name, which is my company name, LLC. So you would have noticed this in the previous sections, both in the full topic output and in the micro content, it says this, my company name, LLC. What I can do, and you might not do it in this case because your company name is going to stay the same, but for the purposes of this exercise, we are going to change, we're going to give an alternate definition for the company name. So I'm going to right click on this and tell it open variable set. And here's where that information is. There's my company name. We're going to do what's called adding a variable definition, an alternate definition. So you just click right here and it adds a row underneath it. And we will add puppies are us so that it's very clear that it's something different. And I will save this. Now, unless I tell it otherwise, it is going to use my company name, LLC, as you can see at the bottom here. Now, go to my micro content file and go to the phrase, right-click it, properties, and now we want to come to micro content variables. And in here, I can select the alternate definition. Click OK, save, and that is it. And now we can build it and see if it worked. It's done. I'm going to double click this. And once again, search for stay and open this whole thing up. This training exercise is brought to you by Puppies R Us. But if I open up the full topic, come down to the bottom, my company name, LLC. So you might have a need to do this, to have different variable definitions, depending on whether it's in the topic or in the micro content. It's really up to you. So there you have it. These are all the ways that you can single source your micro content. Choose what works for you. For me, it's complex selectors, but for you, it could be any combination of these. And that is going to do it for this video, except for one last thing I want to show you is if you do go into the online help, because this can be take a little bit of time to get it straight in your head. If you want, go into the micro content tutorial or micro content help and go up here to tutorials. And coming down, there's a couple of tutorials on micro content, basic and advanced. If you go into the basic one, there's going to be this section in here on single sourcing micro content. So you'll actually go through these same things that I just showed you, and it might solidify a little bit more in your brain if you work through the tutorial. Otherwise, that's going to do it for this video. We will see you in the next one.